All right, so we're just going to go ahead and hit open template, and that's going to bring us to our live template packs. So we're just going to come in here, we'll select one of our live templates. So this is from volume 2. All right, and this is just a basic live template. It's going to be a 2-color or a multicolor, I should say. It's going to be a little bit more than one color. All right. So when we open, what's cool about when we open a template from here, from the open template, and one of the reasons it does this is you'll see over here, it says Untitled 2, right? So if I go back to that pack that we were just in, you'll see right here, there's actually a title for this template here. So I'll say TRW Live Template Volume 2 001B CDR, right? So it has a name for that design. When I double click it, it'll just make it open into a new window and say Untitled 3. So what it's doing is it's not actually opening up that physical file. It's opening up a copy of it and throwing it on, in a new page. But it's not gonna, if we save over this accidentally, or if we just save it, it's not gonna save over the design that we already have. And that's the whole point of this. We don't want to do that. We want to keep our original live template. That way we can always go back and re-edit it again and again and again. All right, so if I were to go to File, Open, and I go to the same pack, and open it, File Open, you'll see here how it actually has the name of the file here. So it says TRW Live Template Volume 2 and throws the design right in here. Excuse me. So if I made any changes to this design now, it would copy over it. So if I changed the live text and converted it to curves or welded it so it's no longer, you can't edit the text, then I have to go back and reinstall the pack, and it's like, it takes time, and we don't want to do that. So anytime we're opening up a live template file, we always want to use the live template editor open template button, because that's not going to actually create a new file for me here. All right. So from last night, we talked about the different text styles that we might see or create. Remember, using the text effects tab. So we had we covered the 1 color, the 2 color, and the 3 color. So looking at our design here, what type of preset effects or what type of effects do we have on here? Do we have a 1 color, 2 color, 3 color, maybe a combination of a couple? Because that's a big part of our live templates. We need to be able to identify like what type of, layouts that we have here. All right, so you guys are nailing it. 1 and 2 color, 2 color envelope, so perfect. So our Lakewood Ranch and our baseball is pretty much a 1 color, and then the main part Mustangs would be a 2 color, right? So now that we have this here, let's go ahead. The next step, once we open a template, we want to hit Find Text. All right, so what's someone's shout out, and I'll, whatever comes up first, just let me know like a high school or, mascot and a sport we want to switch this out to. All right, so I got Vikings as the mascot. We'll switch. We won't use baseball because we'll switch it to something else. All right, so this is a whole one. Cambridge Falcons basketball. Perfect. So we'll hit Find Text, Lakewood Ranch, and we'll type Cambridge. And all I have to do is hit Enter, and it'll go to the next like text box. So now I can just type Falcons, and we said basketball. All right, so just like that, we're able to make their design. Now, what colors are we working with this team? right, black and silver. All right, so we're not going to change the color scheme yet. One of the things I want to cover first, but I needed to know that. So once we get, towards the end, we'll definitely edit the colors. So before we get this cut ready, obviously the big thing is we have our word basketball, but we still have a baseball in here. So we need to change this out to match our basketball. Now I like using this as an example because this baseball, if we look at it, this has a lot of different layers to it. So this type of design, we would most likely use this baseball for like some type of print. Right? So this is way too complicated for our vector, like for vector purposes. We could do it, it just wouldn't be that easy, or it'd be like 4 or 5 layers just for this one baseball. Way too much time. And you can actually see how it almost has like a gradient fill where it goes from like a light red down to a dark red, which we wouldn't be able to kind of showcase in a vinyl. Alright, so when I select my design up top here, or if I select anywhere on this design, it's all grouped together, right? So do we know the differences between ungroup objects and ungroup all objects? Alright. So it can be a little confusing, especially starting out. It's kind of just like, well, why is there even 2 options, right? So yeah, so there's the ungroup objects and then the ungroup all objects. So when we're working with these templates, we want to select ungroup objects, not ungroup all. All right? So the big reason why is because when I hit ungroup objects, that will ungroup like all the pieces to my design. So this is like welded together. This isn't like grouped. But my baseball right here, see when I click on my baseballs, how I have another ungroup objects and ungroup all objects? So inside a design, you can have subgroups. So what I mean by that is if I have, let's say I have some circles here and then some squares. Well, if I group all the circles together and I group all the squares together and then I group everything together, that's kind of the situation we have with some of these live templates. So if I hit ungroup objects, that will still keep my subgroups together. So if I go back, so we're all grouped again. If I hit ungroup all, everything will be ungrouped by itself now, which is fine in some cases, but when we're working with our live templates, we don't want to ungroup all, right? Because if I have this baseball here and I hit ungroup all, look how many different layers I have here, right? So if I hit ungroup all and this baseball becomes ungrouped, if I select this, see how I select it and we still have this black box around most of our design? That's because the piece I selected, it's still this big. So it's almost the size, but if I really look at it, it doesn't go outside the black part. So that should tell me that it's not, I'm not selecting everything. But at the same time, just looking at it quickly, it looks like we selected the baseball. So if I go to change artwork and I select basketball, and I switch this out with my basketball here, or any basketball, so that just switched out that layer only. So it's still going to give you this here. So in this case, when we had our baseball and we just did ungroup objects, and this is still all one, that's what we're looking for, because now when we go to change artwork, basketball, and switch that out, now we have just the basketball replacing our object. All right, so that's the big thing with our designs here. That's why we want to make sure we're only selecting ungroup objects and not ungroup. We did have a question. So when is ungroup all a good choice? Possibly, like, you might group like rhinestones together or something, like different colors while you're designing, stuff like that. But and you know, there's just gonna be time. I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head, but you know, with live templates, most of the time you're not gonna hit ungroup all, but there's times too where ungroup all and ungroup might be the exact same thing. Like if you only have, you know, a bunch of different shapes and I group those together, well, ungroup and ungroup all are gonna do the same thing because there's no subgroups. So it doesn't really matter which one you picked. Now, the two colors with the falcons, how it has the contour around it, that's not a grouping. That's a contour. So when you click on this, it's not going to say that this is a group or anything because a contour isn't considered, you're not grouping that together. It's part of the design until you break it apart. So now we have our basketball. So now, since we've gone through our design, we've changed our text. So we hit find text, change it all. We changed out our clip art. So now we're ready to get this design cut ready. All right, so we have our two color live text with the word Falcons. So do we remember what button we want to hit to separate our contour from our text? So to kind of separate the black from the red. Perfect. Yeah, you guys are killing it tonight. Break apart effects, right? So right here we have our break apart effects. Now technically you can right click the contour itself and hit break apart, but if there's multiple, you know, parts of your design that might have that text, you know, in this case it's just one, so I guess it's kind of the same if clicking one button then right clicking and doing that, but we want to get in the habit of just highlighting the design and hitting break apart effects. All right, so that now once I do that, I should be able to pull this background away and the red stays behind. So that's what we're looking for when we hit break apart effects. All right, so let's pretend we're gonna add some glitter vinyl to this design. So I can't have this layering how it's set up right now, right? Because I can't layer black glitter and red, or we're gonna change the colors. But so black and silver. All right, so once I break everything apart, now I can even get this kind of ready for coloring, or like all the different colors that I might, or the color scheme that I want to use. So we said black and silver, right? Black and silver, yeah. All right, so we already have our black, so we're gonna select all the same color red and kind of just change that to our gray slash silver for now. And then we'll select our basketball and change that too. All right, so I eventually want to use glitter colors on this. So what are my options to get this cut ready at this point? Because if this is glitter, we had a question, how do you select all the same color? That's if you click on any color, so I'm selecting like the gray slash silver. And then under your rhinestone color, you have these three options, these three boxes up top. The middle one will be the one that selects all the same color. So I can select that and it'll change it all just like that. All right, so we had one answer, back minus front, correct. Now, if I did a back minus front, though, it would get rid of that color on top. So if I want to leave, let's pretend I want to leave this color on top. Right, so we have the magic trap. That's one option we can use. So Charlene, with knockout, I think I know what you're saying with the knockout. It's not technically using our KO button here, but it's using the magic boundary to kind of give us that knocked out like area around it. So I think I'm pretty sure that's kind of what you're saying there. If not, I'm going to pretend that it is. But yeah, so we have that magic boundary. All right, so yeah, so those are our big ones there. We have our magic trap or our magic boundary tool here that will kind of knock out everything around it. So those are our main options. Now, you were right too about the back minus front. That would just get rid of the glitter or like the silver on top. All right. So in this case, let's go ahead and use the magic boundary. So we're going to select the top layer, the silver. I'm going to hit remove shapes behind. And remember, we want to use that contour option when we're working with like text and stuff like that. That way the inside cavities of like the A and the O stay there, or a little piece does. Otherwise, when we select this, it's going to look like that. And it's going to take out the entire insides of the A and the O, which we don't necessarily want. So we'll hit contour, and instead let's make this a little bit bigger, 0.04, and that's our magic boundary. So that's kind of, you know, like I was saying, it knocks out all the area around it. So I'm not sure if that's what you meant, but that's our look right here. So it's almost gives us that 3-color live text look, but we started as a 2-color. All right. What if you want it to be 2 colors? So it's still technically 2 colors. The white would be your t-shirt showing through. So if you want it without that gap in it, that's when we would use the magic trap. So that's on that edit tab. So that's when we use that magic trap button here. And what that does is it puts the silver just slightly underneath the black like that. So where this line is, that's where my silver ends. So it doesn't go all the way through, and it cuts out everything. Yep, and it removes right underneath it. All right. So either way, we can now use glitter vinyl for our design here. All right, so the next part is we have this like kind of piece right here with our design. Now it's already been trimmed here. Our next choice is, do we want this trimmed out of the falcons, kind of like it is here, or do we want to just weld these 2 black pieces together? All right, so let's pretend that we want it trimmed out, just so I can kind of show you that too. So if I select my design here and I hit remove shapes behind, see how nothing changed? I have this piece here. I want it to be trimmed out. I hit my magic boundary and nothing happens. So let's go ahead and change. Welcome to my world. So let's go ahead and change the color. All right. So if we look at this now, this piece is actually behind the black right now. So if I'm telling it to remove the shapes behind, there's really nothing behind it to remove. So that's why nothing's, really happening when I'm clicking that button. All right, so instead, let's go ahead and move it to the front. Now we can see that it's on top, right? And I'm going to uncheck contour, and I'm going to hit remove shapes behind. All right. So now we have another issue. Now the basketball's gone, right? It trimmed this out really nicely here, but now my basketball's gone. All right, so the reason why is because, again, remember with when we don't have that contour, even if I had that contour selected here, it might do something like this instead. So let's make this like 0.08. Actually, it's not really messing with it now. Oop. Might have to make it just a little bit bigger. So you can kind of see it's trimming the basketball just a little bit. But if we don't have this contour checked and we select this orange here and hit magic boundary, it's going to want to remove everything inside of here. So if we move this piece to the top layer, the inside clip art, we need to move with it. So once I move this to the top, I would then want to select the basketball and move that to the front. So even though they're not overlapping, if I put the basketball to overlap now, you can see that the basketball's on top of our orange. So now if I were to hit, remove shades behind, it wouldn't actually do anything to our basketball here or get rid of it, anything like that. So let me go back just a tad. I think it looks better that way. All right, so if clip art's disappearing or your layers aren't, when you click that magic boundary, it's not actually doing anything, move it to the top layer. You have your F and B here, so front and back, and that's how you can quickly just move it to the top or bottom. All right, so now I have that area trimmed out. Turn that back to black. And is there any other pieces in our design that we need to really, worry about trimming out or anything? So the contour here, this black contour, will stay, but we've already trimmed it out using the magic trap. But the contour down here, we don't, sometimes we'll check that, sometimes we won't. So that's going to be just depending on, what our design's layout is. So our wireframe, just like that. So we have the silver overlapping, but everything else, trying to center it, looks good. All right. So essentially at this point, this is ready to go. So what I would do now is just select the silver, select all of it, and weld that all together. And then same with my black, weld that all together. And now I have my finished design. All right, so at this point, I could go ahead and switch this to Caesar glitter. Make that our silver and that black, and then we have our finished design. Or of course we can switch it around. We can make that black and that silver, however we want it to look. So remember now, the glitter colors and stuff are only for mock-up purposes. We just want to show, we can save as an image real quick to show our customer, but we don't want to save or send this to our cut file, like our cutter like this. We had a question, can you do glitter over glitter? So not like completely over it. So before we one of the first things we did was the magic trap. So where we have the glitter on top of glitter, it's not actually, it's overlapping just the slightest. So this at like where the black ends, you can see this blue line. So it slightly goes underneath the silver glitter, but it doesn't go all the way to the edges. So normally, like if you had two objects, I'm just going to go to a square and circle. If you had two objects like this, this would not work because it's literally glitter on top of glitter. But because we did the magic trap, now it cuts out that area, but where my red is, it slightly goes underneath the gold like that. Is that difficult to line up? So this one shouldn't be too bad because one of the things that the magic trap does is it gives us a little room for error. Okay, so the black is underneath the silver. So in this case, we'd want to press the black first, and then I would cut each one, and then I would take the silver. And what's nice about vinyl, you can completely lay it on top. So then you would just lay it, you know, just something just like that. And you can see how nicely it lines up. So does that affect the order of the pressing? Yeah, so it does in a sense, like when you use the magic trap. So what it's going to do is it's going to take the top layer. So let's make our square and then our oval shape here. So I have these two shapes here. If I just select these two here and just hit the magic trap, this is going to put the orange underneath. You can see when I zoom in, the orange is slightly underneath the light or the bright green. So if I want it the other way, where I want to press, because right now, yeah, when you select the magic trap, you need to highlight both objects. It will only let you select two objects at a time when you do the magic trap. Otherwise, you'll get an error. So with this here, see nothing's cut out behind it. If I want to, in this design, it's definitely going to probably be easier to press the green and then the orange. If this was my, you know, we're not going to have a simple design like this, but in this case, it would be easier to press the green and then the orange right on top, I would think. So if that's the case, since the green's on the bottom, I would have to hold shift and then click the magic trap. And what that does is it puts the green slightly underneath the orange. So now I can press this first and then the orange would sit right on top of it. If it was the opposite way, if I didn't hold shift, orange would go first and then green. So it does affect how you want to kind of layer it. So that's just holding, you know, bottom shape. If we want that to stay the bottom, you hold shift. If you want to move the top layer to the bottom, you just select magic trap and just left click it. Or just highlight them both and left click. So in perfect world, is the second press the one with the extra edge? That's just, for me, what I focus on is what, like if I'm looking at this design right here, this design, I could go either way with. I could press the black first, or I could press the glitter or the silver first. I think I could line it up pretty easy regardless of which one I press first. Because if I have just the silver, it gives me this as my base. If I have just the black, it gives me that. So I can line these pretty much in the center of the shirt no matter what. But on certain designs, you might just have like one little piece, like let's say my entire design is silver, or you know, pretty much is all silver except this basketball. So my black and silver, I'm just going to weld together. It's not going to look that good right now, but let's pretend like, or let's just get rid of our design like that. Alright, so let's just pretend our design looked like this. Obviously, we wouldn't have a design like this. But if this is the case, if I had like something like this and maybe this piece was completely filled in and I had to do the magic trap, if I'm laying this in a design, I want to lay this out first and then fill the basketball in, right? Because it's so much easier to line this up in the middle than to try to find where this basketball would be relatively on the shirt and then fill this in around it. So that's what I look for when I'm kind of, you know, using the magic trap or features like that, or I want to find out kind of which color I'd press first, and then that's going to decide whether I just hit, you know, just left click the magic trap, or if I hit shift click to, you know, trap the bottom shape instead. So that's kind of what I look for. In this, you know, in this particular design, I think it could go either way. But let's see if we go, let's go to open template and see if we can find one that kind of, we can show it a little bit more. Well, actually, we're going to go, let's do this, and because these ones are already kind of cut out. These are the 3 color live text. So we'll do this one, we'll add some rhinestones, and then we'll get into some pricing. Right. Alright, so this is a nice design to work with here. So again, once we click this, it's just going to open it up into a new page. Alright, so what's someone else give me a new school that we can work with in a different sport? Yeah, so only one of the pieces has the extra edge. Yes, correct. Laguna Blanca volleyball. Alright. So we just hit find text. You'll see all the text fields load here. And then we're just going to select Braden River. And one thing to keep in mind too is, you see how this design's laid out, how it's all caps? That does make a difference when we're designing. Like, and Laguna is a good example because of the G. But if I do Laguna, you can see that the G here goes to the, like, below everything else. So now it's not like perfectly lined up. So when I'm redoing my designs or, you know, typing out the new text, I keep it in the same format that was there. So now you can see that it's nice. All the letters match on the bottom. Like with the G's, the Y's, Q's, anything like that hangs below, you'll get some weird kind of, like, it doesn't always line up like it's supposed to. So we'll see that a lot, you know, with the Pirates here. If so is it Laguna Blanca as one name, or is Blanca the bat? What are the mascots? The Owls? Okay. And then we'll do Owls. Alright, and then volleyball. So you just hit enter, or you can click on the text field and you can change it just like that. Alright, so in this case, again, up top here I select my design. We have our ungroup all, our ungroup objects. So with this design, there is no subgroups in our design. The vector artwork, the soccer ball, it's already just one color. So this is one of those cases where it doesn't really matter if I were to hit ungroup or ungroup all. But I would, just to be careful, get in the habit of just clicking ungroup objects. Until you like are very, very confident and know the difference. Okay, that's going to have multiple layers and stuff like that. Just to be safe, just hit ungroup instead of ungroup all. Alright, so this is something I want to show you with the clip art too. So underneath open template, we have a button called, or just the buttons that are set to height or width. So these two refer to how the clip art that we're using is switched out. Alright, so we have volleyball selected. So I'm going to hit width, and let's go to change artwork, and I'll search volleyball. Now instead of using an actual just like vector volleyball, let's say we go and use like an actual clip art of a player. So if this is my volleyball player right here that I choose, see how big my design just came in? How it's not kind of in this area. Now this is meant for like an actual sports ball, the way it's already cut out. You can kind of tell that. But that doesn't mean we couldn't use this clip art if we didn't want to. But does anyone realize why it came in the way it did? Correct. The width is clicked up top here. So what that's doing is if I have my soccer ball right here, and let's say I put these guidelines on it, this is the width of my soccer ball. So the next clip art that we switch it out with, once the width on both sides hits these marks, the design will stop with its height. So it's going to stay proportionate to the width and the height. It's not going to scrunch it for you. But that's what these two are referring to here. So if I were to go to height, it would be this top layer or top line here and this bottom line here, that my design, once it hit those two parameters, it would stop along with the width too. So now when I go to change artwork, same clip art. See how there's less editing now? Like that's already fitting in there really nicely. So that's what's gonna kind of change with these two up top here. Most of the times we'll probably want it set to the height, excuse me, but if for some reason it comes in really like big or small compared to the clip art was there, you might just have to switch around the height and width. Or, you know, like I said, if it comes in like this, so this design here, we matched it to the width here, and then pretty much the width here. That's why our design came in really big like that. So once I do that, you know, it takes a couple seconds just to kind of resize and replace it by hand, so it's not that big of a deal. But that's how we could easily fix that out. So let's actually switch it with the volleyball itself. All right, so let's go to change artwork. Volleyball. Oh, and we'll just switch that just like that. So when it's a perfect circle and you're switching it pretty much with a circular design, the height and width option isn't going to matter as much. So now we've changed our text, we've changed our clip art, so everything's good to go. What are the colors that we're working with here? Perfect, blue and white. All right, so again, I'm not going to change the color scheme until I'm ready, until I have all, you know, more of like ready to cut. All right, so based off yesterday's class, what type of text are we working with in this design? Exactly, 3-color live. So the owls is going to be our 3-color, and then the Laguna Blanca and volleyball are just 1 color. So if it's 1 color, it doesn't really, you know, need anything done to it, but the 3-color will. So right now, this still has the 2 layers of owls right on top, like the text is layered twice. So do you remember what button we need to click to get this cut ready now? You guys are killing it. Merge 3 color, exactly. So what's one thing that I might want to check before I hit merge 3 color? So remember, so wireframe not yet. We don't need to check that. Nodes not really. What about, so our white area is going to be trimmed out, right? So do I have any areas that might need to be a little bit bigger, anything like that? So that's the one thing we might want to check. Like, is all this thick enough? Because this white's going to be taken out. And in this case, it really is. So we wouldn't really have to change much. But remember, if we want, we can come in here, select the white contour. And I could make that larger or smaller. So like now all that's connecting. So I might want to do something like that. So all this is like one little weed instead. Now this gets a little close here. So then, you know, we might want to adjust that to make it easier on us, or, you know, little things like that. And we could come back to the red too and thicken that up a little bit too if we wanted that a little bit larger. All right, so other than that, you guys are absolutely right. We just highlight our design, hit merge. So each contour you can adjust the color, but that's why you don't want to really adjust the colors until you're done, because once we break this up or hit the merge 3 color, the contours we won't have to come up here to edit like the color and stuff. But one thing you might want to do is like round the corners. So if you want to do that, I definitely recommend doing it to both. And then, you know, you can have a design like that. Alright, so now once we're done editing all the contours, that's when we can highlight that section. And you can see how I'm grabbing bigger than just the owls. Now, if I had maybe like a 2 color or something like that involved in it too, I'd want to just highlight just the owls text, or, you know, as little as everything else as possible. And then I'm just going to hit merge 3 color. Alright, so that gets rid of my white layer there. So all this is trimmed out now. And this white area would be like our t-shirt showing through. Alright, so that's good to go. So now I can select all the black and what we say, blue, and what was the other color? Blue and white. Okay. So we'll change all that to that blue, and then for now we'll just make this a silver, because white's, you know, we're going to lose that. So we don't want to. All right. And actually, before I do that, what I like to do is I'm going to select all the black and weld that together. And then select all the red and weld that together. The reason why is because once, and let me go back a step. So all the blacks welded together. So now I can select the black and change it, you know, to any color I want, and it changes everything because it's all welded now. If I want to change the red, I have to come in here and, you know, change every color or every piece manually. Now, once I'm in the glitter colors, or any like color that's not just like a flat color, if I click on the silver glitter and I select all the same color, notice how it deselects what it's on and doesn't select anything else for me. So that's because it won't let you select any of the same colors when there's glitter like that. Because it's such a different pattern, like the glitter, it's more of a pattern that's in there, so it doesn't recognize it as the same. So that's why when you select all the same color, I like to weld it, because now once it's all welded together, I just click on it and I can switch it to whatever color or color scheme I want. Alright, so it won't, if you try to click on one color and select all the same with glitter, if they're not welded, it's not going to select them all. So then, if you don't do that, you change them all to glitter red or glitter silver, and then in the mock-up we actually want it white. Well, now I got to go back and select everything individually to change the color back. All right, so I want to go back just a tad more because we didn't add our rhinestones yet. Right, so all these are cool, separate pieces now. All right, so, and we'll get into this to the magic tab a little bit more too, probably Friday. But over here we have our magic tab. So inside this we have a lot of one-click buttons, and these one-click buttons will do like 9 to 10 steps on some of them with the wizard tool. So here, the second one down, we have one that's called the stone outline. All right, so I want to add a row of stones around my volleyball, right? And let's say my volleyball, because I don't want you guys to think I'm cheating at it, I'm going to move this really close to the edge here. So if I drop a stone, you can see that stone does not fit in between there, right? You can also see that the volleyball, I'll just change it to a different color so we can see it, is underneath. It's not on the top layer, correct? And it's really close. And I'm actually going to slide this down because I don't want stones going through this volleyball text. I'm going to just move that up. So I'm going to manually move that down now so it's kind of out of the way of the stones. All right, so this is what's really cool about this stone outline button. We're going to select the volleyball here and then click stone outline. And with one click, that's going to move that volleyball on top of everything else. It's then going to clear the path around everything enough to lay stones in between itself and all the objects around it. And then it's going to place those stones in there, and then it's going to break the path, break apart the path here. So all these are just individual stones now, just like we want them. All right, so that one button is how we can add a lot of value to our t-shirts. Okay. Does the stone outline work for other stone sizes? Yep. You just drop down whatever stone size you want here, click that stone outline button, and it's gonna pull from this setting here and know how to trim that around it and then place the stones for you. Alright, so now I can slide the volleyball back up. And I did that because I didn't want it to go through the word volleyball. I like that to be just by itself there. I didn't want that trimmed out at all. So that's all. That's the only reason I moved volleyball down. Alright, so now I can select all the black. And I think the volleyball was... Oh. So, one thing is, this black here is jet black, and these stones are jet black. So look what happens if I select the black here and select all. See how it selects my rhinestones too? We don't want to weld our rhinestones to our vinyl color. So with that being the case, I'm going to select one rhinestone, and this button on the left selects all the same size. So it's going to select every rhinestone in that design. That's an SS10, and I'm just going to make those, I'll just use the gray over here on the side for now, just so we can kind of see them still. Because if I make them crystal, they're not going to show up very well until, we're making the mock-ups and stuff. Alright, so now I can select the black, hold shift, select, click on the volleyball so it selects it too. Go ahead and weld that all together, and then I'll make that the blue, and then I'll select all the same color red, weld together, and we'll make that, let's go ahead and just make that white now. So it's a little hard to see it. All right, and then I'm gonna select these stones and make those crystal too. So it's a little hard to see, but our design's there, and now we have the stones around it. So just real quick, I'll put a background on it so you can kind of see what we're working with now. And if you know, maybe you're like, you know what, I think it might look better with the white outside and then the blue, you can totally switch that around too. All right, so you have complete control, you know, of how that looks. All right, so now we just created our design. So we have a question, can you go over the stone knockout and stone outline with contour? So we definitely will. I don't know if we'll get to it today, just because this is going to lead us right into the pricing calculator now. But if we'll definitely go over these are very important features. So Friday, I think it's going to be fonts and the magic tab that we're going to cover. Those are the two main ones I think we'll save for Friday. Yeah, so we added the class on Friday. I added it today. Pretty much we got through last night, and I know we had a lot of questions. We had the email or the website going down, so it kind of got a little slow. But we're gonna get through all of it. So I added another class on Friday at 12 for us. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna get rid of this background because we don't want that for our pricing calculator. All right. So this is where, you know, with our rhinestones here, now they are there, it's hard, you know, you can click in this area and you'll see how it has those objects selected. But this is what I was talking about earlier, that it can add a lot of value to your design. So what do you guys think price-wise we have just for our t-shirt here? Just for the products. So we have glitter white, glitter blue, or glitter royal, glitter white, and then we have, you know, outline of rhinestones. All right, and I'll tell you what, I'll make it so everyone gets a guess, and you can guess again if you want, but if anyone's within, let's say 5 cents. Now, usually Matt will make you guess the exact number. I'm going to give you 5 cents. Anyone that's within 5 cents of it, I'll get you a free mini pack. All right, now look at all these responses we're getting. All right, so everyone is still there. All right, so we got $5, $2.50, 80 cents, $1.75, $3.05, $4.65, or $4.60. Yeah, $4.65, $2.25, 97 cents, $3.82, $6.78 to $7.38. Now I'll give you one or the other. 45 cents, $1.50. All right, so just one guess for now, but I got you. The last guess I see is what you're gonna get. 65 cents, $3.35. All right, so it looks like most of us have answered here. And give it 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so I got all those numbers in there. I have a page to look at, so if you think you were close, just let me know and I'll go check again. But all right, so we're gonna highlight our design. We're gonna left click our money sign. 215. All right, so we got a couple. So Debbie, Amelia, I see those ones right off the bat. Let me see anyone else. 225, what we got? 215, just out of it, sorry. 250. All right, so I think it was just those two. Okay, so I think it's so if anyone else thinks they got it, let me know and I'll go back and look at the end. But all right, so oh yeah, no shirt included. Sorry, Maria. Yeah, just the product. So 215, right? So look at how about a 10-cent Hanley chug next time. Well, I'll do something next class too. Just remind me. All right. So I got you, Debbie and Amelia, for now. I'll shoot you guys an email, and you guys pick out a mini pack and let me know. All right. So look at this here though. 61 total SS10 crystals for 18 cents. All right. We're going to charge about $5 to $7, maybe even 10 for just a little outline of rhinestones, right? So that's where the rhinestones can be a big markup. So if we're not using them, trust me, I don't do every, the rhinestones are a little bit more work, but a one color design that only has 61 stones, you're brushing this in within 30 seconds or less, so it's not adding a lot of work. If we have a 2 or 3 color rhinestone full t-shirt and we're brushing it, yeah, that's going to take a little time to, make each one. But I'll take, to add $5 for a little circle of rhinestones, I'll take that all day when my cost is only 18 cents. All right. So we get this question a lot too. What about the flock material? Like, why don't we charge for that? Now we could, but it's hard to, with a square piece like that, it might be 50 cents worth of flock material, maybe a little bit more. But every time the flock gets reused, so it's not like vinyl and stones, like once you use it once, you're done. The flock, we're going to, every time they want rhinestones around this design, we're going to create the we already have it made. So in theory, every shirt that we make with rhinestones of this design, the flock just got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper per shirt. So by the end of it, if I'm doing 20 shirts, the price of per flock per item is comes out to a cent or two. So that's why we don't really add it too much. Now Matt did a webinar in one of the training series. I don't know exactly which one, but he did show how to add like flock into the cost. So I can ask him if you guys want to know, but if not, you can just be like, you know what, I used a foot of flock, I used half a foot, I used a quarter of a foot, it costs $4 a foot, then I'm just gonna add an extra dollar in my cost. So you can always do that. And that's one thing too. If this was a one-off design where I just use like 2 or 3 feet of flock, you better believe I'm going to charge them extra for it. If it's a custom that's never, I'm not going to make this again, but they were, they wanted it, they wanted to pay extra, all day we'll charge them, maybe not anything extra, but at least to cover the cost of the flock, because I'm never going to use that again. This, hopefully I'm going to use this on, 20 of the same shirts. And what's really cool about this design is this isn't going to change. So if I make this for the volleyball team and then the soccer team sees it and says, oh man, I want that design, but instead of the volleyball, I want to say soccer. Well, the only thing I have to change at this point now is the volleyball and the soccer, but all the rest of my template will stay the exact same. So I can reuse that circle around the soccer ball or the baseball or the basketball. So that's why, a design like this, if I'm doing the whole school and all their different sports, I'm just going to keep reusing that circle over and over again for each sport. And it's going to, make it super easy. And that flock cost is just going to be next to nothing. All right. So now let's get into so now we're going to get into the advanced pricing calculator. So this little money sign right here, that's our left side, our left click. So that's just going to show you just the basic information, the colors you're using, how much it costs, if there's stones involved, anything like that. All right, so when we right click, that's when we get into the advancing pricing calculator. All right, so this is going to take effect all of our, not every single cost, but most of our costs that we're going to have now. All right, so one of the questions, can you show how we generate the order form? So this is going to generate an order form for us using the advanced pricing calculator. This isn't a mock-up. This is going to be an order form, which will have the mock-up on it, but this is one of my favorite order forms to use, okay? So first question, what did you charge for the setup/design fee? All right. So any of us that have been to, most of these some of these webinars, especially with the pricing calculator, you guys better be, you better know now to be charging for a setup/design fee, right? I think we harp on that pretty hard. If we're not charging a setup/design fee, we ought to, because your time is valuable. You don't want to sit there and create this design. Now the live templates, they're not going to know that it took us less than 5 minutes to change this around. But if someone, we can maybe bring it down a little bit more. But if we're designing something from scratch, or they want us to make something from scratch, that's going to take time. And we don't want to sit there and spend an hour or two of our time for them to go, you know what, this isn't the right time for me. Something just popped up. I'm not going to be able to get these shirts right now, right? It's going to happen. And you want to try, of course, you want to be accommodating. Like, we're not just trying to take money from people, but at the same time, you have to run your business, and you don't want to be sitting there doing all this work and not be compensated for it. So it could be as little as $10, it could be $15, it could be even a little bit less. And we have customers that come in and to our storefront, and if they're there a couple times a month, they're loyal, we never have issues with them, we might waive that setup and design fee. But if someone's calling us and we don't know them, and they're trying to get us to do a lot of work, we're going to want to set up a non-refundable setup design fee. So it could be $10, it can be $15, but if I'm putting an hour or two of work in, and they decide, not anything based on the design itself, just, hey, I can't move forward with this right now. Okay, well, I want to, you need to make that money or be compensated in some way. So even if it's $10, even if it's $5, it's just something so our time's just not wasted. So I'll put $10 in here. We have a question. Did you say right off the bat, do you have artwork for me, or do you want me to design it for a fee? I'm so new, I have clients haven't. So most of the time with our storefront, we get, I shouldn't say most of the time, we get both with our storefront. So there's times where someone has an idea in their head and they're trying to tell you what they want. That's the worst case, when someone has an idea in their head and they say, I'm looking for this type of design. It's got a crown in it, but I want it to say, a name underneath the crown, and then maybe some nice cursive font to go with it. And your idea that in your mind, you just pictured something that I just said, right? But that could be completely different from what the customer wants. So with those type of customers, we'll tell them, look, just go on Google, go on something, just show me, give me some sort of design that resembles what you're looking at. Find me a font, find me a crown. It doesn't even have to be together. Just show me what font you're looking for. Show me what type of crown you want. try to make it as specific as possible, because if you're sitting there doing all this work, what I just described to you, like let's say I want Shannon with the princess crown, but I want it in a script font and 2 or 3 colors. I guarantee you, let's say there's 50 of us in here, 35 of those are going to be completely different, or very different. There might be a few that are pretty similar, but for the most part, those are all going to be different designs. We're all going to have a favorite script font. We're all going to have a crown we go to. So to save you time and to save them time, it's better to have some sort of design from them or an idea. They can scribble it down on a little notepad and take a picture for all I care. I just want something, so I'm not there trying to get into your mind and picture what you're wanting, spend time working on it, send you a proof, and then go, oh no, that's not even close to what I wanted. So that's and then we'll have someone that sends you, hey, here's my logo, or here's my school. I just want it to say, or you can kind of show them the different templates you have, and let them choose from those and be like, hey, I like that layout, but instead of Brain River Pirates, I want it to say what we have here, Laguna Blanca Owls. So that's really easy. But you're going to have all sorts of customers. But the ones that I would charge, for sure, for a $10 or $15, and someone asked what's a reasonable design fee, $10 to $15 for a setup fee is pretty reasonable. If you know that it's going to be a little bit more work than normal, and you might not know from the start. It might take you 5 to 10 customers to realize, okay, now I'm understanding, like, if they come in here and want 3 or 4 color rhinestone design, that's going to be a little bit more work. Or like, let's say I outsource it to somebody else to set up, I might have to cover their cost. So yeah, and or the customer is a known PETA, so we joke around about having an extra PETA fee. So that's something that's definitely that's known in this industry. And that's a pain in the ass, and you're gonna have that customer, sometimes good, sometimes bad. They're spending lots of money, but hey, they're really specific about everything they want, which isn't the worst thing. But hey, they're paying you on time, so we're gonna work with them. But you'll always have different types of customers. But setting up, I would even anywhere from $10 to $15, I would say, is pretty reasonable. And a lot of times too, we have different little things in our storefront where, hey, if you spend $150 on an order, your design fee will be waived, or it will go into the, we'll subtract that at the end of the final cost, just so we know that you're going to go through with it. So there's always little things like that might adjust that. Or hey, you get 20 or more t-shirts, we waive the setup and design fee, because after that we're going to make our money back either way. But you want to have that paid for ahead of time too. We don't want to just make 20 shirts and then be stuck with them. So you might take half the payment up front, you might take all of it. I know our storefront makes, for the most part, we take most of the payments up front once we send them the proof. And we'll get kind of to what the proof is going to be shortly. So once they, see the design laid out on a mock-up and they approve it, then we'll ask for like the money or, part of it, something like that, just so we cover our material costs. So now, first we wanted to cover our time. Next is our material, because we don't want to make 20 shirts and then them just sitting there and they never come back or pick them up. Well, hey, if we already paid for half of it, that's going to cover my material cost, plus probably a little bit more. I'm not going to make everything off of it like I wanted to, but at least I'm not down money. All right, so next question is the rate of the employee handling or designing. All right, so that's probably just going to be you up front. You might have, son, daughter that might be doing it. You might have an employee or intern that might be, designing as well. You might have, you might outsource some of your design cost or stuff like that. But even if it's just yourself right now, you want to put a number in there that you're paying yourself. So even if you're not necessarily like taking money out of your business right now, you're just kind of letting it grow. You might be doing it on the side. Still put like minimum wage in there, because it's going to skew everything if you don't. Because those are actual costs that you might eventually have. And if you're basing all your pricing off of this, and then all of a sudden you need an employee in there, or you're paying for an employee, you're going to start having to charge more, and your customers are going to be used to a certain price. And all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, well, yeah, last week or last month you came in, you got 20 shirts. Well, those same 20 shirts, I have an employee now, so I got to charge you, $2 extra on every shirt. You don't want to have to kind of explain that or tell somebody that. So even if it's just yourself, you can put anywhere from like $8.50 to $10 in there. All right, so let's say $9.50. All right, next question. How many minutes did it take to set up or design the design we're working on? All right. So if it's a live template like this, we really should be breezing through these. Right? So these live templates, even adding a little bit of rhinestone, it should be 5 minutes or less. Now, if we're designing from scratch, I know someone said earlier, someone wanted a surfboard with a lifesaver. So I kind of created my own surfboard, stuff like that. That might take a little bit more time. So you'll time yourself for the first couple, and then just average it at the end. You don't have to sit there and time yourself every time, but it might be an average of 10 minutes it takes to design most of our projects. So we had a question: does the calculator add additional money for a 2-color design, or is it just the raw material? So the left click will just show you the raw material. In this advanced pricing calculator, we haven't got to it yet, but we do have how many minutes did it take to produce the product. So most of the times, like if we have 2 colors versus 1, we're going to have a little bit more time in our produce. So that's where it's going to take our labor costs in effect, if that's what you're getting at. Because more, if it's a 2-color design, that's 2 presses, that's usually a little bit more work. So that's going to go in this section here, where how many minutes did it take to produce the sign. And that's going to affect our labor cost. All right. So has the setup time / design fee been prepaid? Most of the time it should be, because we want that money ahead of time. Hey, no problem, I'll sketch this out. It's just you'll have to throw down a $15, $10 non-refundable setup fee. But look, if you go forward with the product and you want 20 shirts, we'll incorporate that setup and design fee into the total order. So you can say stuff like that, but most of the time we still want that design fee prepaid for it, because otherwise, if they decide not to go with it, good luck getting the money afterwards. All right. So what is the retail price for the finished product? This is where it really, this is the best part of the calculator, because we can always go back and change this. But this is the important area where it's going to let us know ahead of time if we are short selling ourselves, or if we're doing a lot more work than we need to, or we're not getting paid for the work we're doing. All right, so retail price. This is a 2-color glitter design plus rhinestones. Okay, so the retail, and let's just say we're gonna put it on a scoop neck, just a basic scoop neck maybe, and that's gonna come in here too. What is the blank cost? So we're doing something pretty basic. We'll, $3 a shirt kind of thing. All right, so the retail price for our design. So remember, we had, what was it, like $215 or something like that, $218 as our price, whatever it might have been. So now we're gonna add our t-shirt costs. So I said $3. So now we're around $518 with our material and our t-shirt. All right. So if I base it on that, so I'm thinking, hey, if I charge $15, I'm still making 10 per shirt, and I'm going to be cheaper than everybody else, so everyone will want to come to me. So if I say, let's just lowball it at $15 here because I'm new and I want to get customers, and based on the math I just thought of, I'm making about just under $10 a shirt. So let's just say 16, so I'm making 10 and change. All right. Discount provided to the customer. Now, at our storefront, we have a discount based on quantity. So if you buy 15 to 25 items, you get a 5% discount. If you buy 25 to 50 items, you get a 10%. 50 to 100, 15 or 20, we might jump it up. So we go all the way up to, I think it's like 40% off or something. But that's, when we buy hundreds of, if they're buying like 100 or more or something like that. So discount, let's say, the volleyball team, there's 20 people that need this shirt. So we're going to provide a 5% discount. All right. Blank cost, we said, was $3. And you can actually put the name of it. So it could be just a Gildan scoop neck. You don't have to type this, but if you want, you can. All right, so now we get into the production side. So the rate of the employee doing the production. So when we say production, we're talking about cutting the vinyl, weeding the vinyl, and pressing the vinyl. Same with the rhinestones, cutting and brushing those in too. All right, so that most likely is going to be the same employee doing the work. Well, it might not be, but let's just say it is. It's still you. So we're going to make it $9.50 here too. You might have different employees with different pricing, or different price points, so you can do that. But let's just pretend they're, the same employee and they're doing the designing and the production. Or it might be, more for the designer, less for the person doing the production. You can, like I said, you can change it around as much as you want. All right. Next is how many minutes did it take to produce the product? And when we say that, it's one t-shirt. How many minutes did it take to produce one t-shirt? So, and that's on average. So if you cut all the blue, all the white, weed all the blue, brush in all your stones, and then press, all 20 shirts within, an hour. So it might take us like 5 minutes per shirt. So that's how we want to kind of look at it, right? We don't want to, and I don't think that math was right, but just go with me. But we don't want to cut one blue, one white, brush in the stones, and like time ourselves doing one. We want to take, okay, this whole order, and this is kind of a guessing game too. At the beginning it might be off, but as you do a couple projects, you'll kind of be like, oh, well, I can probably knock out, 20 shirts by myself in 2 hours. So little things like that. But we're going to say it took us 5 minutes to produce one t-shirt. And then here's what is the total quantity being produced. Again, we said 20. And then two of the last things we have are overhead. So that's our rent, electric, internet, phone, water. Yeah, sorry about the dogs. They're locked up in the room, but they must see something outside. So what is your overhead cost? Rent, electric, internet, phone, water, etc. So you might not have all these overhead right now. You might be working, like I am from my house right now. You might be using a spare bedroom, just like an extra, coffee table in the kitchen. You might be set up in your garage. You might have a basement. So that's when we want to, if I have a storefront, I'm going to know exactly what my rent is, exactly, the average of my electric, my internet, my phone, my water. Those things aren't really going to change month to month. It might change, 10 to 20 bucks, but it's not going to change 100 to 200 bucks. So if you're working out of a spare bedroom, basement, garage, you just want to take a portion of your rent or your mortgage. So you don't want to take your whole mortgage and use it as your rent or your rent area, because you're not, you're just using a part of your house. So maybe let's say it's $1,200 a month. All right, it's a 3-bedroom. I'm using one of the bedrooms. I'm gonna charge myself $400 to use it. Just something in there. Electric, that's $50 a month. I'm gonna take 15 of that because I use a lot of electric with the heat press and the cutter. Little things like that. I upped my internet so I could have better internet to, just provide for my customers, kind of thing. I want to be able to, list it. So you're just kind of taking little bits and pieces that you might, chart. You don't need to take your whole monthly bills and that's now the area in here. You're just going to take a fraction of it. So something like that, working out of the house, it might be, let's say, $400 a month. All right. So you can use that. What you would use would you enter this for taxes for a home business, right? Yeah. So if you're doing stuff like that where you're filing taxes and all that, you can. Now I'm not let me say right now, I'm not like a tax expert or anything like that. So I don't know. Home offices I know can be red flags for audits and stuff like that. So that's different. This is, you want to be, probably go to a tax person and just make sure, hey, this is what I'm looking at. How would I do all that? But yeah, for this purpose though, you can pretty much use that number as just like a percentage or something like that. All right, so we said 400. Now again, if I have a storefront, that might be closer to 1,200 or 1,500 or 2,000, depending on the location of my storefront. We used to have a storefront that was in an area that was really nice. It was like brand new. It was something crazy like $2,500 a month. We got out of there pretty quickly because we realized it's not worth having a storefront, paying that much money for it when we could put it inside of the warehouse. Just a section of our warehouse is now our storefront. So now it's all included into one kind of thing. So, there's no problem with working out of your house or, a spare bedroom or anything like that. All right. So the last question, and it does make a difference on this, but it says, how many products do you average a month? Because this takes from what we put in here. So starting out, when we say products a month, this order is 20 shirts. So this would already be 20 products for this month. So if a school ordered 100 decals, that's 100 products. So this number is going to change, especially, when we're brand new. Okay? We might not know this, but we can make it, if these are my first 20 shirts, I can put 20 in there. I could put, I'm going to hope I average 25 or 50 products a month to start out with. This is, so if it's your first order, don't put 0 because it's going to really skew your number. Just, put 20, put 50, or, just, you can even put a little bit more hoping that's going to be your average. If you put 1, it's still going to skew your numbers a little bit, and I'll show you where. But, so on this one, let's say 50. All right, so I filled everything out here. Now I'm going to hit price. Oh, and what I didn't do, see how nothing shows up here? Because I didn't have this selected first. So you need to always highlight your design, then right click. All the information should still be there, and now I'm going to hit price. All right, so now we can see all this information that we just inputted based off the product we have here. All right, so up top, you'll see pretty much the basics that we just had in our first one. Stone and vinyl cost. So it was like $2.15. Our gild and scoop. So now our total material cost is $5.15. All right, next we get into the production. We said they get paid $9.50. Took 5 minutes to produce. So per product, we're about 79 cents on labor cost per product. My business overhead per product is $8. So that's why I was saying, if you put one product in there, your business overhead cost per product is going to be really, really high. All right. So that's where, you know, it might be a little bit skewed when we're just starting out. So you can even put like 50 in there or 100, because if you do a 200 decals for a school or organization, all of a sudden that, you know, this number is going to drop drastically. So it can change every month, but that's just on average. So $8 per product is a little high, but now material, labor, and overhead is $13.94 per product. All right. So remember, I was thinking, hey, I only have $5.15 based into this product. So I thought we only, so I'm thinking that I'm going to make about $10 per shirt on this order. Well, now I just realized, shoot, based on everything else I just told it, I'm almost at $14 per product. If I'm charging $16, plus I gave them a 5% discount, so they're only paying $15.20, I'm making $1.26 per item. So I'm gonna, based on the time it's gonna take me an hour and just over an hour and a half to make this, they're gonna pay me $3.04. All my labor and overhead materials are gonna cost $2.78. So I'm gonna profit $25.20 on this whole order, pretty much averaging $15.09 an hour. Who likes those numbers? Right? So that's when we go back. We're gonna look at those numbers and say, yeah, I'm not doing this order. I'm not doing 20 shirts to make 25 bucks. That's not why we got into this business. So again, I tried to lowball. I wanted to be the lowest number on the block so people would come to me and not have an issue. But that's when you start to realize, okay, this is why people are actually pricing 2 color glitters with rhinestones closer to 30 bucks, right? Now, it might be for a school. Hey, look, normally I would do 30, but I'll do 25 for you guys since it's a school. All right, so now we're going to hit price again. Now, because I charged $25 per item, I gave them 5% off still, so they're paying me $23.75 per shirt. So now I'm almost at that $10 mark per item. All right, so now my total order cost is $4.74 or $4.75. My cost with everything is $2.78. So now my profits per hour is $117, and my total profit on the order is almost $200. And I'm only going to work 2 hours for that, or less than 2 hours for that. So these are the numbers we like to see. So this is why the calculator is one of my favorite tools in the software, especially when we're starting out, because this, we hear stories all the time of, man, I cranked out, I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning trying to get this order done. Finally finished it, got paid, went back and realized, man, I just did 8 hours of work for, peanuts. All right, so this is the number that we want to see. So these are the type of numbers. And look, that's room to play around with too, right? Those are good numbers. Okay, that's where we can come in and be like, you know what? They say, man, I really like the design, but 26 is just not enough or too much. All right, let me see if I do 22.50. Right? So then I come back, right click this again. When I really want to get this order, let's see if I can do 22.50. Price that out. Okay, so I'm still working an hour and a half, but I'm gonna profit almost $1.50. $150. That's still doable. Those numbers are okay with me still, especially starting out. I want to get my business out there. That's okay. $89 an hour I'm making, I can handle that. So that's where you can kind of play around with these numbers. And if your customer is giving you or hassling you about price or anything, you can literally see, okay, what's my lowest number I can go before it's not worth it for me. In the overhead numbers, do we need to include wages, tax, and payroll insurance? That's definitely something to think about. Let me talk with Matt about that, see if we can possibly add that into the next one. So the tax itself will be added to this order, so you don't have to worry about tax. But and wages are included already in here too. So we did wages. So wages and tax will be included already. The payroll insurance, that's probably something that you could add into the overhead cost. But remember here we did our wages here, so they're getting paid $9.50, and then what was the other one? Tax. Okay, so tax will be added onto this next area here. So you'll see sales tax rate. You're going to put this over here. Does the software save the client info, or does it have to be entered every time? So it will save the client info, and you can save your pricing. So up top here, let's say your design fee, your employee cost aren't really ever going to change. Well, you can hit this little plus sign up top here, and you can call this basic pricing. Hit OK. So when we close this down, I can drop this, and you'll see how I have a couple in here. But I have one that's called waive setup fee. So I have a customer that comes in all the time. Hey, I'm going to waive your setup fee. So that's already filled out. And then you'll see the only areas that aren't entered are the retail price, the discount, the blank, and the total quantity being produced. And I would actually, the minutes should be zeroed out too. But everything else isn't going to really change. So you can save a bunch of different presets in here. So I did basic pricing. That's what we just got here. So I'm going to hit price. And then on this page, you have a plus sign here. So this could be, John Smith. Hit OK. And, I could save. I would actually hit this after, but I could save all his information. Now, next time John Smith comes in, I'll have to change his order number, the order date, the due date. But, the address, city, all that stuff won't change. So you can save as many customers as you want into here. Most of the time, I kind of just fill it out just because it really takes a couple minutes, so it's not crazy hard. But I definitely like the presets on the page before this. All right, so order number. Now this is where we get into our order form. So 1, 2, 3, customer name, we said John Smith. Order date will be today, 6/10/2020. Order due date, we told John that we'd have it ready for him within a week. So I'll say 6/17/2020. Customer phone number, I'm just going to put ours down. You can plug in all this information. They don't have an email. You don't even have to, if we're not shipping it, we don't necessarily have to put in an address, anything like that. Product design name. This was the Laguna Owls volleyball. Blank sizes. They ordered adult, small through large. We'll do extra large. It doesn't matter, but blank color. So that's the t-shirt color. That's going to be, they did white and blue. So let's say we put it on a black t-shirt. And then this is our sales tax. So now we had a question too. Is there a shipping cost? There's not a shipping cost. You would just add that to the order, or kind of talk to him once once you had the package, you could, you know, maybe ballpark it, but there's not actually a place for that. You can add that if you want to manually, but it's not going to show up in this order form. So sales tax rate, I think in this area we're at like, so someone said 8.75. All right, so the way I would write that is I wouldn't put 8.75 in here. I would put 0.0875. All right, if I put 8.75, that sales tax rate is going to be a lot. So the way that we need to write it in here is 0.0875. All right, so 8.25 or 0.75%, you know, something like that. Employee that quoted, that's going to be Sean. Completion, quoted completion date, we did it same day. Additional notes, if completed early, contact John for pickup. All right. I believe the tax, whatever it is, tax where I'm located or where they're located. I'm pretty sure you have to do the tax where you're located for tax purposes, like where the sale's occurring. All right. So next we have our TRW information, and then we have these. We have stones, so we're gonna hit simulate stones. You can add your watermark if you want. I'm not going to on this order form because it's for the customer. I'm not going to put that on the site or anything, so I don't really need to protect it much. So I'm not going to put the watermark here. But down here you'll see internal and customer. Those both should be checked. We're going to try to see if we can make that just a default because we need both of them. All right, so everything's filled out now. Now I'm going to hit create printable pricing breakdown. All right, I know we're going a little bit over time. Once we're done with this mock-up, we'll wrap it up for the night, but just bear with me. We're almost through it. All right, so this is our order form, but can you guys see down here? See how we have internal pricing and customer pricing? One is for our record, so internals for us. Customer pricing is for them. So when we look at this order form, again, and you might want you can change this background so you can see a little bit more, but you can actually see when we click that simulate stones button, that's what it does for our mock-up purposes. It actually turns into Rhinestone, so we can see that stand out a little bit more. All that information we just put in here is going to be populated. Order number 123, customer name John Smith, order date 6/10, order due date 6/17/2020. All right. Yep. Can we add bling to this order form? You can add bling to whatever you want. You just go to your mockup page, add bling, boom, boom. Now we have bling there. If I want to make it smaller, I can just drop that there. Make this a little bit smaller. Boom. Added bling. Yep. So you can literally add that to anything you want. Just not a cuttable, you know, file. Like not when you go to cut it. It's not going to cut. But you can add it to any mock-up. All right, Laguna Owls volleyball. Got a nice little picture there. Here, we got a setup and design. It's been prepaid. They're going to use royal blue. So this is what's really nice too. Have you guys ever had a customer, you know, you make them something, come back, pick up the product. You know, you send them mock-up just like this. And then they come back and go, oh, you know, the blue was supposed to be navy, not royal. Right? Just something small like that. So then you get into this weird, awkward situation where it's like, I want to be nice to this customer, but they made the mistake, not me. So I don't really want to pay for it, but I don't want them to, you know, not come back. So do I eat the cost? Do they? So this really helps in those situations because it literally has everything. Royal blue glitter, white glitter, rhinestone count 61. Has, you know, all the information. Gild and scoop neck, color black. So when they come back and they say, you know, it was supposed to be navy blue. All right, well, you know, on this order form, it has everything written out. You can see it's in royal. We even put royal blue here. and John, you signed off on it and approved it. You know, I can gladly make you the shirts again. I can discount it to make it easier on you, but it's not my. It wasn't our error that we made. If it's on us, it's on us. We have to eat it. But when it's something like this, we don't want to get stuck in. We try to be nice and understanding, but maybe try to give them a bigger discount. But it's not like we can do anything with these shirts at this point. We either eat the whole thing or we're trying to get it in there. So yeah, so someone just mentioned a disclaimer. I hadn't zoomed in yet, but by signing below, you're agreeing to all the information, colors, and spelling on your order form is correct and to your approval. You're also waiving us for any mistakes or errors on products brought to us for decoration. If it is our mistake, we will replace the product with something we have in stock at the time. This custom quote is valid for 7 days from the date signed below. All right, so that's our waiver. This is why I like this order form so much. It gives them all the information. It puts that waiver on there. So when they sign this and they come back with something like that, I want to help you as much as I can, but this is the situation, and you'll go from there. How do you send this to a customer? They send electronically? Yeah, so you can pretty much send it as a PDF or anything like that. I know like Microsoft Word, you can even bring it into and sign it these days. So there's a lot of like virtual signatures. If it's in person, like they come, you give it to them in person, it's really easy. But there's a lot of programs out there that they can sign this now, or just go to Adobe or Microsoft Word and just take a pen, and it could look like a 3-year-old did it. But Microsoft Word has a pen that you can sign with. Even with laptops, or if they have like a screen that's touch, it makes it really easy because they can just draw rather than it's very hard to take a pen like a freehand like this and try to sign something. Like it's gonna look like that. It's not gonna look good, but they can do it. So that's all we need on there, something like that. Or in person is always better, but yeah, Paul print. So this is the order form that they would get. You would want to save it as a PDF. That makes it easier for them to you want to save it at, if you want them to sign it, you can save it as a PDF. Just be careful as a PDF because you can kind of extract the contents of this if they really know what they're doing, and then they won't have the rhinestone really, but because they'd have to know how to size those, but they could take this out of the design, and now they have like the vector portion of our design here. So just be careful with that, but otherwise you can save it as like a JPEG, PNG, and that makes it a lot harder to like extract something like that out. The file type to save as, it gives a white gray box behind. That's going to be a transparent background. I believe both of them will do it, but what I usually would do is just go to File, Export For, and if you go to the Web option, yeah, so you'll see PNG and the transparency option right there. So this might, it might default to GIF or GIF, however you want to say it, but under PNG, you'll see the transparent background option. Might have moved down here at the bottom now, but that's what we're looking for, like that. But on this case, we probably don't want the transparency because we want that white behind it. So we'd probably want it to look like that. All right. So that's the customer's pricing. All right. Next, we have internal. All right. And this is for your records. So if you accidentally show them this, they're going to realize, why am I charging $22.50 or $26, whatever we charge them, when you only have $5 worth of material? Stuff like that. They're not going to understand. They're not going to, even if they look at it, they're not going to care that you're profiting only $148. They're going to be upset that they're paying 26 bucks when it looks like you only have 515 in it. So this is for your records. This is just for if they come back and they say, hey, you priced me out on these t-shirts, can you match? And then you pull this record up and you say, you know what, HTV glitter it's not going to, but it's shortage doubled in price. So if you want this t-shirt, I'm going to have to charge you more for, the glitter colors. Little things like that. So this is just for your records to always go back and look. So you can just save that to your documents. All right, and then we had some questions about what about the order on the t-shirt. So that most likely is going to be done ahead of time for the proof. So that's when you can just go to your mock-up page, and we said just like a scoop front or scoop neck front. So you could highlight your design here, simulate stones, click the mock-up here, change this to black, and this is what we would send them before we made the order form. So they would get to view this, what the shirt would actually look like beforehand. So this order form would be the second part. Once they kind of approved this mock-up, then we would take them to the order form and get them signed up this way. So you can email this. You could just save it as any type of JPEG image, JPEG, PNG, PDF, and then just send that to the through email. Same with this mock-up here. You can just select that, save it as a PNG, JPEG, anything like that, and send it via email. This is the one where I definitely would send as a PNG or JPEG, because there's no need for them to open anything, extract anything, and they could, again, if it's a PDF, if someone knows what they're doing, they can pull this apart and take the design without paying for it. All right. When we make our own mock-ups of shirt blanks, can you clarify where the images live so we can click on it for a mock-up product/thumbnail? So when you add through the mock-up creator, when you add those, it will drop, if you add a new folder, you can do it that way, or you can add to an existing folder. All right, with that, Val, just give us a call and we can run you through that real quick just to make sure they're all showing up correctly. No problem. Yeah, just shoot me an email. So you can add them that way, and we'll get into the mock-ups too. But it's about 8 o'clock now, so I want to stop there just because it's at a pretty good point where we don't have to. If we jump into anything else, it's going to be another 30 minutes to an hour. So we'll save some more of that for Friday. And look, if we don't get through it all, we might have to do part 4. So there's nothing wrong with that. We need to go. You guys purchased the Wizard, so we want to make sure you guys understand it all, know all the features. So we don't get through everything, there'll be a part 4 too. But we still need to go through the actual mock-ups. I know someone asked a second ago, what is there one where you have quantity for the sizes? So just to kind of go, I'll show you real quick, but we do under here have our templates. So you have an order form 1 product, or oops, I clicked too many buttons. Nope, I just clicked launch. So let's hit cancel. All right, so let's go to page 1 here. Up here. So let's do 1 product, and I might get an error because I've been playing around trying different things with my mock-ups, but it should still work. So here we did order 1 product. So here's all my different t-shirts and products that I've added. So I could go to women's, scoop neck front. Select, it's asking us to select the design we want, hit OK. And this is the type of order form that's going to have the size and quantity. So there's this ones too, and you don't have to always use that pricing calculator one. This is, you know, a nice clean order form too, that you can use for your customers. And this is where I kind of was messing around with like this background. I added this wood background. We did it in one of the training series, so that's something we worked on in one of those. But you know, that's something we can go into there. Is there a way you can adjust the 2x and 3x price? Yep. So you just click in there and you can delete it if you don't want. And this is just like columns and rows, this little thing here. So you can actually click on that and you'll see rows and columns here. So we have 7. So I can take one out and just get rid of my 3x option in my box and everything like that. So you can totally change this around as much as you want. All the color schemes you can change around, so I can make that, you know, lime green, red, whatever I want. Yeah, and you can also come in here where it says like 2x. They said I'd charge more. You can come in here and change that and put like plus $3 or plus $2 for 2x. So you can just add to it. And we can just make this a little bit smaller to kind of fit back in there. No, this is all part of the wizard. So this is all you know, once you purchase the wizard, you get access to, you know, every feature of it. So that's just under your mock-up page. We did an order form 1 product. All right, so someone was asking how to sign virtually. So I believe in Microsoft Word, if they were to like pull something in there, under haven't done it in a while, but there's a way to get to like a pen here. And I might have to do a little research and show you next class, but I know there's a way. I feel like I'm not seeing everything I should. Like how it's kind of like grayed out at the top. Yeah, I might do a little research on it, but there should be a way just to grab like a pen feature. Oh, signature line. Okay, so they might be able to sign it like that. That's not exactly what I was looking for. But let me play around with it, and I'll try to show you next class. But I know there's a way in here that they should be able to bring it in and just kind of sign it. And they could even like, you know, print it out, sign it manually, take a picture of it, and send it back to you just so you have it for your proof, anything like that. But there should be a way to like, it's more like with one of those stylus pens that you can kind of sign it. So I'll play around with it and see, and I'll try to show you guys that on Friday. Just send me a reminder on Friday about it, but we can show you that too. But yeah, I just haven't done it in so long, but I'll figure it out for you. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. So tomorrow, don't forget, live training at noon with Matt on our YouTube channel. The recorder for last night's is already up on our YouTube channel, so you can go check that out already. This one will be up tomorrow. Otherwise, free training and giveaway tomorrow on our YouTube channel at 12. So we're going to do a giveaway with one of the True Type font packs, and also I believe if there's enough that we'll do another giveaway with any I think a pack of your choosing. So that'll be nice. We should, I believe, have a new summer pack coming out tomorrow too, a little mini pack. That looks pretty cool. Is there a class to add products to the wizard? Yeah, so honestly, if you go to our YouTube channel and search Mockup Creator, you'll definitely get some beginner, just start, basic stuff like that. That really help with showing you how to add products to your mockups. And what was it last? I feel like we did. I don't know if it was a free class or part of the training series, but I feel like we just went over a little bit more in depth of adding to the mockup creator. I'm not sure if it was a free class or not, but we'll go over a little bit too during this, overview. So Friday, we're definitely gonna do some fonts, and what else did I say Friday? So fonts, because we're gonna do vector and rhinestone. Then we'll probably have some time. Oh, in the magic tab, and then if we don't cover, that'll probably be Friday. So I'm thinking we'll probably have to do another class, 4 total, that we can get into like more of the mockups and mockup creator too. So there's just a lot, So whatever it takes to cover, we'll cover it. Yep, you can add your own watermark. So that's kind of going up with like setting up your mockups. We didn't go over that tonight, but we'll include that as part of the mockups too. Setting up like your business name, your watermark text, everything that goes into your mockups like this. So how it automatically populates the Rhinestone world, all your information here. We'll go through on how to add that there. But if you want to learn beforehand, you can go to our YouTube channel and search like mockups or mockup creator, and there's probably at least 5 different webinars on going over the mockups and mockup creator, all a little bit different. Some 80% will probably be similar, just because it's just the basics of it, but then we might do something a little bit different in each one. All right, and don't forget, design of the day is listed, so those are free. So we definitely want to be getting those every day. So if you don't know where to find those, that's going to be on featured, design a day giveaway, and then we got our 2 free designs up for the day. Also, because the site crashed last night, Matt did extend the True Type font volume 12 till midnight tonight, because we got some emails of people not being able to sign on to the website. So just to make it easy, we just extended that, and that will be pulled tonight at midnight for the pricing. So it's pretty much $180 plus 75% off, $45. It's a great deal. If you don't have these fonts, I highly recommend just go grab this pack for $45. The value for, you can buy 3 of these fonts without a discount, and you're pretty much paying $45. So, or if you just like a few of them, you can still go get the individual ones for 75% off. So it's still a great deal. That's going to end tomorrow, by the way. Just, I'm going to give you guys a heads up. But the mat sale will end tomorrow evening after the live. So it's going to go probably to midnight tomorrow. But this type of sale, this sale that you see here, will probably end tomorrow night, just to kind of give you a heads up. All right. But everything else, so Design Wizard 1 overview we did last night. That's going to be right here. So if you haven't actually downloaded it or purchased it, you don't have to. You can just go to YouTube and it's going to be there. But if you want the link to it, you have to put it in your cart and purchase it. It's free, so you're not really like purchasing it. And then 2 was tonight. 3 will be tomorrow or Friday. Sorry, Friday at 12 p.m. to 1:30. Probably just going to go a little bit longer like tonight, and then we'll figure it out. But next week we'll probably do part 4. All right, guys. We'll have a great night. See you in the live tomorrow, and if not, we'll see you Friday at 12 for part 3. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.